into a spectacle. It seems like you're just going to a fireworks show. What's the fucktoy of this episode? Let's go see the horrible man-made terror beyond my comprehension. Oh shit, I'm comprehending it. And the pitfall you have with that is that it becomes just a spectacle. It's something that keeps your attention, but not in a meaningful way. So I think overall, I mean, it's definitely a series I don't think I could ever like honestly recommend to someone. Just knowing everything that's going into it is one of those series where if you told your friend to check it out, it would actually probably like you would lose some social credit for that one. At the end of the day, I don't think it deserves all the bad faith criticism it gets because there is genuine talent happening here. It's just being squandered and restrained and overly fucked over by its bad storytelling. Check it out if you're interested. This is not a wholehearted recommendation, but chances are if you're watching this video, you've already seen it. Be better. C tier. Walton Files. Tell me why in my notes here I just have Bonnie if he slayed. The Walton Files is a great example of an analog horror that I did not understand much of, but that I really enjoyed. It was, good. It's amazing what you can do with your animatronic horror story when you plan that shit out from the beginning. The Walton Files was an interesting watch, primarily because it's one of the few series that I think really utilizes its sort of halfway animated, halfway drawn aesthetic to its full purpose. Again, it's kind of earlier on in its run as well. Yes, it's been out for several years now, but it's, after watching the most recent video, it's pretty clear that we've only just started to get like the bare bones beginning connective tissue of the story as it stands. But from what we've gotten, oh boy. The Walton Files managed to do one thing that I don't think any other analog horror series on this list did, and that was make me feel genuine, like, tragedy, genuine, like, sadness regarding how something went. Spoilers for this next part, but Felix, the business partner to the titular Jack Walton, takes kids back from an after-school party in which he gets absolutely hammered at, and as a result, he drives drunk and is more or less responsible for both of their deaths. When I watched that, it really hit me. I don't have kids. I'm not gonna have kids. But the tragedy of being personally responsible for the death of two children, two of which you know very well, that really hit me hard. And the series handles it beautifully too. Not beautiful in the sense of this is pretty, beautiful in the sense that, wow, I hate this, it hurts. We get to see Felix's like deteriorating mindset after the fact. And in the latest episode, at least at the time of recording this, we get to see him go through what he had to do the rest of that night, burying both of them and making one more grave for himself as well. It's also really neat to see as the creator of the series gets better with their art as time goes on, not only having artwork on scene, but actually animation as well. I mean, in the newest episode, it's primarily animation for the artistic parts of it, the parts that are not actually like VHS effect. And it's really a boon to the series, I think, overall. It was fine without it, but like, there's a scene where Felix is actively considering offing himself by jumping off of a cliff, and you get to see him go through the full emotional gambit of about to do it, to hesitating, to just falling to his knees and not able to. Something that is done entirely without dialogue, and that wouldn't be possible earlier in the series if it weren't for this new animated style. It's really something else. I don't know, there's still a lot to learn, and I am excited and interested to see where this series goes as a result of it. This is definitely one you're going to want to watch a couple times over just to really get everything, but at the same time, like, that's not necessarily a bad thing. So I would say for a series that had affected me as deeply and emotionally as some of its scenes did, as well as the fact that it's got such a unique, interesting aesthetic design to it, I think it's definitely worth checking out. I'm gonna say 18. We've got Vita Carnis. Yeah. Vita Carnis, I think, is one of the most fresh analog horrors to come out, no pun intended, in the last couple of years. Because, you know, some analog horrors have dipped their toes into body horror and the, you know, spooky shit that comes as a result of that, but none of them have committed nearly as much as Vita meets Snake Carnis. This is one of the few analog horrors that employs body horror that actually made me, like, genuinely feel unwell while I was watching it. No, do not cut your vegetables on the meat cutting board. No, you sick fuck! Vita Carnis is the story about how meat critters have been slowly but surely becoming more prevalent and prolific across the world, and how they're great creatures, phenomenal individuals, really great parts of the ecosystem. It's a shame they all suck.
New life forms have appeared all around the globe, completely changing the balance of nature and what we know about evolution itself. That is why we, at National Living Meat Research, have been studying these new species, trying to help educate everyone about these creatures and their wondrous ways of life.
Another thing I like about Vita Carnis is how well it handles child death. I swear to God, I did not plan on having so many analog horrors about children dying right off, like, in rapid succession. In Species Anomaly Report, one of the children they introduce is playing around one of the harvesters and steps on one of its tendrils, and it gets him, for lack of better words. There's pretty much no visuals to go along with it aside from very grainy footage of what appears to be a skull, but you don't need visuals when the sound design sounds like this. Once the series moves away from more informational, sort of meet the meat snake family videos, it does become a little bit hit or miss on occasion. Like, some of the practical effects are very janky. I like the idea of the mimics. The mimic costume can use a little more work to it, but it doesn't take me out of it. It doesn't actively make me think it's bad. A part where the series does kind of lose me is when it gets into, like, oh, there's this evil cult that is worshipping the monoliths and is trying to bring a whole new world order using this unknown member of the meat snake family, and it's like, I don't know, it feels as unexplained as it does just kind of thrown in there at the very end. But again, that was the most recent episode. Season 2 is on its way, so perhaps that will be saved in the next season. As it stands right now, I don't know, it is very much a personal pet peeve, but I feel like it could have used a little bit more expanding upon prior to having it be sort of like the linchpin for the ending, for the finale. Overall, though, I think Vita Carnis is like the analog horror series I'm most interested to see and where it goes in the future. Not just because of, oh, what the fuck is going on with this cult now, but also because, you know, it's a gripping and very interesting and well done story so far. With that in mind, I would recommend checking it out. A tier. This tier's getting a little long. I need to start hating more. The Winter of '83. If you had told me that Linkara had decided to make his own analog horror series, or at least host it on his channel and be an integral part of it, I would have said, okay. The Winter of '83 is an interesting series because I was fully prepared to bounce right the fuck off of it. Like, to give you an idea, the first, I want to say 5 minutes includes this part, this live action portion.
Can anybody hear me? Look, we need help down here. Please send somebody to rescue us. I'm begging you. We're in the basement of Scott's Manor. It's getting so cold down here. Please, you have to help us. They're going to bury us down here.
Let's go.